A tutorial on how I made the background for this header. Obviously this image is naturally a vertical image, but I did it to be a horizontal image. So I'm going to show you how I did that. This is for Lynn mainly, but just in case anyone cared about how to edit in Photoshop. Hello, I'm not very good at tutorials, but basically, so what I did is I got the crop tool and I made it 16:9 aspect ratio because that's the ratio of headers, but obviously do it whatever aspect ratio or like crop size that you want for whatever you're doing. Then what I did is I took this selection tool, just a regular rectangle one, and I selected part of the sky. So I wanted to go as close to the mountain as possible without touching the mountain, but you want to get as much cloud in as you can, so that'll do. And then I don't know what this is on Windows, but I did Command C to copy, so Control C I guess, and then Command D to deselect, so I guess again Control D, and then I pasted it, Command V. You obviously know how to copy and paste things, that's not difficult. So now you've got this square which will match up perfectly with this part of the image. So what I do is I placed it where I wanted, and then Command T, that will give you the free transform. Again, I think it's Control T. Most things I believe are just like Control. So yours will have this little chain link up here connected, so if you just unlink that, that will allow you to kind of flip the image and stretch it as you want. So what I did is I matched up these clouds and then stretched the image to fit. So obviously that on its own would work, but now we want you don't really need the clone tool for that. You can if you want to like kind of even it out a bit, but you don't necessarily have to. So we want mountains down here. So what we do next is get our selection tool again, and then I want to select as close to the mountains with a little bit of sky and get as much mountain as you want, preferably not the bit that they're standing on, because it's that's a foreground, not a background, so you want to keep as much background as you can, and don't mix background and foreground up because that will kind of change how it looks. So we've grabbed that, again we're going to copy, oh okay, we need to make sure you're on the right layer, sorry, copy and then deselect and then paste. So every time you paste, it will make a new layer. And to remember that so that you, for later a bit. So now you do Command T again or Control T, and you fit this bit of mountain in. And again, I'm going to flip it around the other way because the higher bit of the mountain here, and there's a high bit of the mountain here. So they won't match up when I do this, but you can kind of make them look as though they will. So you just want to match it up to the sky the best you can. So obviously you can see that these are two different images. So like I said, the clouds not so much, but this one you can definitely tell that there's a difference. So what we do now is we click our elbows and it really hurts, and then we select all of these. So if you press shift, so if you click on one and you press shift and click on the top one, it will highlight them all. And then we left click or right click or whatever the click is to get the menus up. I don't know my left and rights. And then we do merge layers, and then that will make this all one layer. So now what you do is we go to the sidebar and we take this healing tool here, the spot healing brush. And what I did is I kind of just drew it along the line, and then as you can see, it blends it together. So it's easy to do that here, but on the mountain, I think I struggled a bit. Yeah, so there you go. I can kind of use this kind of tool. So as you can see, I don't know if on mine, because I wasn't really paying attention to that, but obviously this foreground bit. So what you can do is then select this bit of the mountain of the foreground. Again, you want to try not to get kind of what they're standing on in it. So actually what I would do is either use your lasso tool, or if you get here and you go to the quick selection tool, what you can do is, if we zoom in, is, let me deselect that, is if you take this part of the mountain here, and then, so if you press, on mine is Option, I think it might be Alt on your keyboard if you're using Windows, so that will then allow you to select it a bit more. So once you've done that, oh, you can also do that with this up here. So if you want to add more of a part of an image, you make sure it's on the plus. If you want to take away then you use the -1. So let me fix that back down. Okay, so now we've got this bit of the mountain selected. What we'll do is copy that and then paste that, and then we'll do the same transform transition, and we'll just match those up like this. So this one I would pull it just in a bit because it doesn't really need to be it's like, yeah, you don't have to have it all the way over here. You can have it anywhere here that you want. So I don't want it to be too long because it's like they're standing on the cliff edge. So I just want it so that you can see this like lower bit here, so that it kind of, you see there you have, if I were to do it there, you've got this like faded line. But if I were, I've lost it now, lol. If I were to add this, then this bit runs off on the edge, so it kind of takes away that faded line. And then you can either do the healing tool brush again just on this edge, but you don't necessarily have to if you don't want to. So I can do it like that, but it also doesn't look bad when it's like this, you see. It doesn't look like it's wrong in any way. But it's really up to you how you want to do it. You can also do this with the clone stamp, which is, I always lose it, which is here. With the clone stamp, if you press, again on my keyboard it's different, I think it's Alt. If you press Alt and you select like a kind of area, then you can like paint that area onto a line, because that can kind of hide it a bit more. But again, you don't really need to do that. That's for kind of more removing things from photos that, like on faces, like when I did photo restoration, I would use that tool on people's faces to get rid of like cracks and things. So the only issue with this obviously is that as you can see on this side, you can see the quality difference in the photo because I've taken this small area and I've made it bigger, so the quality difference is like slightly different. But if you're doing it for a thing like a header, it doesn't necessarily matter, because like on my header the text kind of covers up that this is slightly wrong. But it's all kind of about aesthetic, not necessarily about cleanliness, unless you're doing this professionally, which you're not really doing professionally, so it doesn't necessarily matter. But yeah, I hope that is a good tutorial, because I'm not very good at tutorials, so you're welcome.